Kyle Busch had another awful race in Virginia during the Cookout 400, and according to him, it's not his own fault. It's all down to NASCAR providing a terrible aero package for short tracks. And after the race, Busch has once again been critical of NASCAR's new aero package for short tracks and road courses this season. For the second straight season, NASCAR implemented revised aero rules for short tracks, focusing on a simpler diffuser and a 3-inch spoiler. In the two races where it has been used thus far at that point, Phoenix and Richmond, there has been no apparent gain in the racing in general, particularly for Busch and his number 8 Richard Childress racing squad. I didn't think we could make it worse, but by golly we did. For me anyways, Busch 39 said Saturday at Martinsville Speedway, "Maybe it's just because we don't have it quite figured out like others do, but I cannot follow anybody in front of me whatsoever. It doesn't matter if I'm in the bottom lane, the middle lane, the top lane. If there is a car in front of me, I am terrible, really bad." Busch started 31st at Phoenix and finished 22nd, while he began 15th a couple of weeks ago in Richmond Bay and ended 20th. However, as Busch pointed out, the RCR organization in general has suffered on short tracks since the introduction of the next-gen car in the 2022 season. The short track stuff, though, has, been very miss. We've had like 2 hits, I think. So it'd be nice to get more on the hit side and to where we have good cars that we're able to go out there and contend and compete, Busch said. So I think a lot of it is just the reliance on the simulation and what we're being told in that and making decisions based off of that. What makes you faster or better in the sim. That is not transferring to the racetrack, so we've got to go about it a different way. Busch won 3 races in his debut season with RCR last year, but other than a 3rd place finish at Richmond, he struggled on short tracks. Busch is still hunting for his first win of the season and sits 15th in the series standings. I think anytime you have good runs, you kind of know that the points will take care of themselves. Anytime you aren't having good runs, you probably know that you are not in good point standing, he said. But more importantly, just trying to get our program right and up front, and in a position to where we can win a race or two and not worry about points. And the trouble surrounding the short track aero package hasn't gone unnoticed for NASCAR either, as NASCAR's Elton Sawyer recognized on Tuesday morning that the sanctioning organization must do more to improve its short track product. With little to no noticeable improvement after 4 races using its new aero package for short tracks and road courses in the Cup Series this season, NASCAR recognizes it has to do more to improve racing quality. The problem has been most noticeable on the 3 tracks 1 mile in length or shorter, where the package has been used so far in 2024, Phoenix, Richmond, and this last weekend at Martinsville. While several drivers have reported improved car handling, the fields continue to get increasingly congested, with just a few drivers in each race able to gain position on the course. William Byron was one of the few in last weekend's race, starting 18th and eventually winning Sunday at Martinsville in an overtime finish that handed Hendrick Motorsports a triumph while commemorating the 40th anniversary of its first series win. "We're not naive to this," NASCAR's Senior Vice President of Competition stated during a Sirius XM NASCAR radio interview on Tuesday. "We at NASCAR want our short track package to be better. We want that racing to be at the level that super speedways and our intermediate racetracks are today. I promise you we are working as hard as we can with Goodyear, and we need to work harder. That's the bottom line. We need to work harder to come to a place where, as I said a couple of weeks ago, we need to figure out how to bottle up what we learned at Bristol and also what we learned the first 30 laps at Richmond last week on how that race unfolded." Sunday's race at Martinsville Speedway garnered criticism for a lack of racing, as drivers voiced irritation with their inability to overtake. It has been a recurring topic in the series since the next-gen car debuted in 2022. There were 5 cautions and 13 lead changes at Martinsville, with Joey Logano leading 184 laps after stopping for only 2 tires. The unexpected and yet unexplained cause of tire degradation at Bristol Motor Speedway drew high praise from both industry professionals and fans. It resulted in a lot of overtakes, a record amount of lead changes, and it was up to the drivers to manage their tires. Richmond Raceway employed wet weather tires to begin the race, which resulted in additional wear, but after the tires began to dry out, NASCAR instructed teams to switch to slick tires. From there, it became more of a one-groove race, with Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson leading 372 of 400 laps. The tires and the way they wear and the way the drivers had to manage the tire wear and fall off is really what we're trying to achieve, he added. When you can go out at any track, especially short tracks, and run at 10/10ths, and the equipment will take it and the tire will take it, then you're taking all the skill set away from the driver. So, we are, I promise you and our fans, working daily to continue to try to come up with a tire that will give us the short track racing that we're all looking for. The surface at Richmond, Martinsville, and other short tracks around the circuit are all different, so it's not a one-tire-fits-all type solution. So, we have to continue to work, and we're not resting on anything we did yesterday. Today we're going to be digging on this again and working on solutions and trying to get to a better place. NASCAR is using a different aero package at short tracks and road courses this season. It has not been as important an element of the issue as planned, and the focus has shifted to tire wear. The revised package, announced in the off-season, focuses on the next-gen car's reduced diffuser and features the removal of engine panel strakes, more simple diffuser strakes, and a 3-inch spoiler. This car is in its third year, so a lot of work has been on the aero side of the short tracks, and just to be perfectly honest, that doesn't move the needle, Sawyer said. It really doesn't, for whatever reason. It could be the speeds in the middle of the corner. There's a multitude of things that would go into that. But the bottom line is that it doesn't move the needle, and the drivers would tell you that. So there is no need for us to put a lot of energy toward that type of testing. Bristol hosted one of the season's most interesting short track races, but the package was not used. Tire fall-off became a significant aspect of the race's dynamics when drivers were required to stop for new tires before the conclusion of a fuel stint. The most interesting aspects of the race in Richmond occurred at the start, when the field began on wet weather tires owing to the humid conditions. The treaded tires gave significantly more traction, and vehicles appeared to be able to move around each other with greater ease until the track dried in approximately 30 laps, at which point the field switched to slick tires. Sawyer seems to hint that tire fall-off is one area where NASCAR intends to focus its efforts. It really comes down to us and Goodyear, and we felt like at Bristol we were really close. Did we step over the line as a collective industry? Maybe a little. That was a type of wear that we don't need that much. But if that was a 10, we need to back it off to somewhere like a 7.5 or an 8 on that scale. And that's what we need. We need to have the best athletes in the world, which is our drivers, to have to go out there and use every bit of their talent, and that's not just driving at 10/10ths. That's backing it down and being able to manage your equipment, whether it's brakes or tires or whatever that may be. I promise you, I promise our fans, that we are working daily to continue to try to come up with a tire that will give us the short track racing that we're all looking for. What are your thoughts on the short aero package? Do you think it's not good enough, just like the drivers? And what could NASCAR change to make it better?